Today, I'm going to tell you the story of how I achieved a better quality of life. And if a better quality of life is something that you're also interested in, then maybe you can try a few of these steps. The principle is really simple. We have to understand, at least I had to understand, that fundamentally, I am motivated by how I feel. I'm motivated by everything that I do is based upon a feeling I have about or surrounding any activity that I will put my hand to. And so I was going through life for a long time thinking that in order for me to get things accomplished, I had to do things that were contrary to the way I felt about it. Like going to work is one of the classic examples. There are jobs that I've had in life that I did not like, but I had to do it because, I didn't have many other options or whatever the case. And I just didn't feel like going to work sometimes. And so I thought that when I went to work, that I was doing it despite the fact that I didn't feel like doing it. But that's really not true. The discovery I have is that I was going to work because I was focused on a different feeling. Because there are always multiple feelings about activities and relationships and everything that we're involved in. There's not just one feeling about it. There's multiple. So whatever these things are, however you define feelings, I think it's something that we can all get on the same page with. That we definitely are experiencing something when it's related to just about anything that we do. So I wasn't going to work because I was ignoring the feeling of not wanting to do it. I was actually going to work based upon another feeling. The feeling I had about getting a paycheck. And the feeling I had about being able to pay my bills. And maybe a feeling I have of the current position that I was in, knowing that if I continue to go to work, that I might be elevated to another position that I would actually enjoy more. Whatever the case, it was always around the feelings. So I began to focus on that a little bit and think about how in the world can I, if now I'm discovering that I am motivated by feelings and that I'm only doing the things that I feel like doing, then also there are things that I don't feel like doing, and simultaneously feeling like doing it based upon other parts of what I'm doing, like the paycheck and the actual work. How can I change that inside my mind? How can I get myself into a place where I understand that with a little more clarity and be able to utilize that to my advantage, to be able to utilize it in a way that I can grow from it? So I started thinking about, well, if I'm motivated by feelings, and there are multiple feelings associated with just about everything, then I can't change the way I feel necessarily, but I can focus on some feelings more than other feelings. And so I began to just bring myself into this headspace of just saying, okay, think about, choose the thoughts in your mind, make a conscious effort. This is all about living life on purpose. This is what I subscribe to. Life can either happen to you or you can choose your life. the way you want to live your life. This is really not about more money. This is not saying the quality of life that I want means I have to make more money. That's not true. You don't have to make more money. You don't have to change anything other than changing what's in your brain, changing the way you think about things, and focusing on one feeling more than you focus on another feeling. So then you start organizing your day and you think to yourself, all right, how can I not change the things that have to be done or that I want to do or can't find time to do or whatever, but change the way I feel about it. And so, for example, let's just take a task in your life that we all have to do, all right? Maybe not you specifically, but it has to get done. Let's just take laundry, for example. Nobody is a big jumping up and down excited about laundry. But how can we change laundry into a place that we feel better about doing laundry? For me, this is what I did, all right? And so it's really taken the edge off of it. Saturday is laundry day. That's what I've done. And where did you get that? Well, Sheldon, of course. Saturday is laundry day. And when you start to organize your life and really put down even the finest details on a schedule, whether it's a mental schedule you're keeping or you're actually putting it on your calendar, you just say to yourself that you pick a day that the laundry is going to get done. And so then when your laundry's piling up, you're not stressing over that, because one of the worst things we can do to ourselves is to say something like, well, I'll do it this weekend or I'll do it this next week. When you generalize something like that, then you're more apt to keep pushing it further and further out. But when you make it very specific, Saturday is laundry day, then you know that you don't have to stress over it on Tuesday or Thursday or Friday. But Saturday is an absolute. And so for me, laundry day is kind of fun. It's like, yes, the laundry's piled up, maybe a little higher than I wanted it to be by Wednesday. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I don't even have to stress over this laundry getting piled up like that, because Saturday's coming and I'll do it on Saturday. And it makes it almost like, okay, this is what I do. And it feels good to accomplish a goal. I set the goal for Saturday, and then on Saturday, I reach my goal. Reaching goals, having a win in your life is motivation. It's like, wow, that feels really good to have accomplished a goal. Then I get motivated to set other goals. And so sometimes it is a little less specific. Like, I set a goal for myself, a daily goal for myself. On every day I work 4/10s, Tuesday through Friday. Those days, I've set this goal that when I get off of work, I need to accomplish one thing. That's it. I just have to get something accomplished after work. And so I make it so small, or so wide open that it can be small, that all I have to do is take a chip out of one task. I don't have to complete an entire task. I just want to put effort toward that task. So there are many things that I have to get done. The amount of things in my world, in my life, would overwhelm most people because I have a lot going on. But I do love my life like that. But in order to get these things done, I have to set a goal that 4 days a week I'm going to get something done for that, even if it's small. So when I'm tired, I get off work and I'm like, okay, I still need to get something done. So I get home, and usually I spend the time on my drive home thinking about, okay, now I'm going to prioritize. What is it that I want to get done? and say, well, this project is what you're working on. You need to get the chimney taken down, the piping for the wood burning stove. You need to get that taken down and replaced and extended, and there's a whole project going on with that. But I can't do it all in one setting for various reasons. But I do need to make progress on that every day to get it eventually complete. So I started by saying, okay, how do I reach that? I had to get that. Oh, I got to build a scaffold. So one day I built the scaffold, but that's as far as I got with it. And then the next day I'm like, I'm going to make more progress, chip away at this project again. I chose that project. I have to get something done, part of my goals. And then I climbed the scaffold and I removed the piping, the existing piping that needs replaced. I took the screws out and strapping down and all this, and I lowered it down the scaffold. And then I kept going. So the starting of it for me is, if all you do is like, okay, I got the scaffold built, and then I'm not going to do any more after that because I don't have the motivation. It's okay, because I accomplished my goal of getting something done. It didn't have to be the whole thing, but I made an effort toward that project. And then like the following day when I got the piping taken down, well, let's go get the other piping. Let's get more done. I started it thinking I would just take that down, and then that would be my contribution toward that project for that day. But once I got started, then I got motivated to keep going and do more toward that project. And sometimes I will work a full day, and part of my goal system is to get one thing done toward any project. Sometimes I'll start that thinking I'm just going to do this small part. And I get so motivated. I get so encouraged. I get so focused when I get that one thing done. I just keep going. The next thing I know, I've put in another 4 hours in working on something, and it didn't even feel like work, because it's the beginning of any task that is the toughest part. It's not the keeping going. Even if you get tired while you're trying to accomplish your task, you can push through that relatively easy. It's way easier than starting that task. Starting is the toughest part. And if you will just make up your mind, you're going to get one thing done, even if it's small. Oftentimes that one small thing you do will just cascade and keep you moving and moving. I had a whole bunch of wood to cut yesterday, as a matter of fact. And the amount of trees piled up, logs piled up, was taller than me, all just laying on top of each other. And I'm thinking, I've got to make progress on that project a little bit each day. I don't have the time to devote to the doing all of that in one setting, but I'm going to get a little bit done each day. Yesterday was one of those days where I felt like I'm just going to get the chainsaw, head over, and start cutting. Well, my buddy showed up with a log splitter. And he was like, why don't we split some of this? Now, his motivation was a little bit because he wanted some of that wood, but that's okay. He brought the log splitter, he brought his chainsaw, and we just had ourselves a little chainsaw party. And that pile seems so overwhelming when you think about it as an entire thing. But I wasn't thinking about the entire pile. I was thinking to myself, I'm just going to cut one of those logs. I'm going to get one of those logs cut up. And if that's all I get done, then that's okay, because it's a contribution toward the big project. At least I didn't just feel so overwhelmed by this huge project that I just decided to ignore that project. Because a little at a time is just as effective, and sometimes more so, than just going after and doing the whole big project all at once. If there's freedom to pace that out, if there's freedom to say it doesn't have to get done all at once, then capitalize on that freedom. Make some choices about how you're going to accomplish, and maybe just a little at a time. That way, it never feels like this huge, overwhelming project. Well, I started cutting. I was just going to cut one big log up into sections. And then I was thinking my buddy would cut up maybe one big log logged up into sections, and then they would throw it on the splitter. I felt like that would be a very accomplished day for me, because it would probably take us a couple hours to do that. Well, we started cutting logs, and we kept cutting logs. One log turned into 2, turned into 3, 4. The next thing I know, it's like 6 hours later, we cut so many logs and split so many logs that the pile that was over my head is now nearly below my waist. We got so many logs cut that it was starting to get colder and approaching, like going to be getting dark. And I had to manage, I have to clean some of this up and get my tools cleaned up and everything. But what I really wanted to do was just keep going. I just wanted to keep cutting more. I'm like, look, I'm getting so much done. If I just work a little bit longer, then I might be able to get this thing down even lower and then get more and more of this cut up and split up. So I had to make a conscious choice. I had to make myself stop because I had to manage cleanup as a part of the process. I had to manage the sun going down as a part of this process. And I had to leave room for that. But so, yeah, I kept working, but I started cleaning up and put my tools away and, make sure that the chainsaw had the chain grease in it. My brain just went blank on chain grease. Well, who says chain grease? That's not what you say at all. Bar oil. That's what you call it. Anyway, I had to do some maintenance on my chainsaw, tighten it up a little bit, top it off with gas, and get it put away. So that when the next time came, the next opportunity to start working on the wood, the chainsaw's ready to go. It's so that when I finally have the opportunity, I don't lose my motivation by thinking, I got to do some maintenance on that saw. And then that is one of those things that can take you out of the game and keep you from even getting started on something. Or maybe you you think, all right, I got to get that chainsaw, maintained. I got to tighten up the chain and put some oil in it and gas in it and all that. And maybe you go get that done and you call that the contribution toward the project. That's okay too, but for me, I didn't want that. I didn't want the contribution to be getting the saw ready. I wanted that saw running the next time I had an opportunity. And I was still on this high from all this work I'd gotten done. And I wanted to capitalize on that energy I still had to get that saw ready for the next trip. If you will just take opportunities to say, I want to feel good about doing things that I also have negative feelings about, then you'll focus on the things that bring you the reward. Like the paycheck brings me the reward for going to work. And so I focus on that part. I focus on how much they're going to give me for going there. And then, I have some vacation time. Maybe I'll use that. Well, then I start focusing on, all right, if I take a day off, what will I do with that day that will warrant giving up one of the paid days off that I have? And oftentimes I just talk myself right out of it. No, I don't want to lose that. I want to save that for When I burn a day, I want to burn it for something that is really, really super rewarding. So I don't know. This is really just about finding ways that I find ways of of creating new feelings about my task, creating that feeling, that sense of accomplishment, and finding ways to make my mind focus on the things that are important, the things that make me feel good about anything that I'm going to do. And then I set goals. So that's part of what makes me feel good, is accomplishing a goal. I have a laundry day every Saturday that is very rewarding for me. But I don't like doing laundry, yet I get this really crazy reward out of it. There's another thing that I do. Okay, so there are many tasks that need done around the studio and around whatever. And I have like old coax that got put in years ago or whatever that just needs cut out. I have outlets that need new covers. I have, things that need done that require going and getting my tools. So what I've learned is that if I just put a tool belt, a small tool belt, on as I'm walking around with no particular task to do, because often I'll start a task and then discover, oh, this wire's in the way. I keep meaning to cut this wire out of my way, this old coax wire, cable TV wire, whatever. I need to get that out of my way. But now I got to go to the truck, up the steps and to the truck to go get my tools. I'm like, okay, the next time I'm at my truck, I'll just bring it back with me. Do I ever do that? I mean, I had to really evaluate, well, how do I do better at this? How can I get to a place where I don't procrastinate cutting down some of the wires and replacing some of the outlet covers and things like that? How can I do better? Well, I can just make myself go to the truck, which clearly I wasn't doing. So I had to make myself change my pattern a little bit. So I have this very lightweight tool belt that I often put on when I'm going to go do some task. And it's got some cutters in it. It has screwdrivers, a little center punch, and a utility knife. And so this right here isn't cumbersome to wear. It's not in my way. It just buckles around my waist, and I keep it on while I'm doing other tasks. I've literally had this thing on while I'm in the kitchen cooking. While I'm like, yeah, I need to get myself at the ready for the unexpected things that pop up, for the things like, oh, yeah, that needs done. So I just keep this thing with me, and I wear it around the studio or around whatever it is I'm doing. I often don't, when I get out of my truck, no matter where it is I'm going, if I'm just going over, maybe to my son's house or something like that, sometimes I'll just grab my tool belt, because oftentimes, hey, Dad, can you look at this? Or I just like having it on me. And it's easy enough to take off if I'm not using it or whatever. So I wear this tool belt around, and then when I'm walking around, I'm like, oh, this cable's in the way. Reach, snip, task done. I just accomplished my goal of getting that project done by having myself at the ready. Maybe carrying tools is not really what your forte is. Maybe you don't work with tools very much, and that's not part of your daily life, getting things accomplished with tools. But maybe you do other things that pop up. Maybe you like to do tasks around the house, or you're working in it, and then every time you're like, oh, that needs dusted maybe, or something like that. So maybe you want to keep like what a person who has a cleaning business might keep with them while they're working or whatever. A little holster for your Windex. I don't know, but I'm just throwing out these things that I do, and maybe that will stimulate you to put yourself at the ready so that when you're working on something and you see something else that you didn't plan on originally doing, you see that other task, you have the tools you need to go for it. You have what you need to say, yeah, oh yes, I'm going to do that right now. And sometimes for me, it's just dragging a trash can around with me. I know that when I'm working in the studio, I've got to get things, accomplished studio related. But as I'm doing those things, I'm realizing, there are so many things that need thrown away. And if I have a trash can with me, I'm just pitching and not just finding some space to set it off to the side. I don't know. I love these kind of things that mess with my own mind. I love the psychology of it all, and I like focusing in on that psychology part, because if we can master the mind, everything else will also be mastered. Yeah, you won't need more money to feel like you have a better quality of life, because you'll be getting these many rewards about, wow, I accomplished a goal. And you'll be excited about setting new goals. You'll be excited about, wow, what else can I do that make my mind get excited about a task that is otherwise mundane? So this is what I love. So maybe you can just take another look at your life and say, what are the things that you have to do? What are the things that you want to do? What are the things that need done regardless? I mean, you need to rest, so schedule the rest. You need to sleep, so schedule the sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep at night because you don't have a bedtime, or maybe that you didn't know you needed a bedtime. We all need a bedtime, because you have to give yourself a window of time that your body can sleep. If you need a certain amount of sleep and you don't even give your body the time to sleep that much, like, I went to bed too late, so if I need 5 or 6 hours of sleep and I went to bed, now there's only 4 hours to get that done. You can't get 6 hours of sleep within 4 hours. So give yourself a bedtime. You give yourself a wake-up time. You set an alarm to get out of bed. Why not set an alarm to go to bed? And then you're going to feel like I set a goal, a bedtime goal, and when you go to bed, you'll feel the sense of accomplishment, of having accomplished your goal. I get made fun of all the time because I go to bed pretty early, but my alarm clock goes off at 3:30 in the morning. I love starting my day early because at 3:30 in the morning, there is almost nothing going on. I'm not going to have to encounter much of anything else out in the world because there's just very little going on. So I can get up and have a nice slow start and feel like, I don't feel like being out of bed, but I do feel like getting my day started. I do feel like getting some things done. I start to focus on those things. So I just set my goals each morning. Sometimes I just have to set them as I go. Get out of bed, sleepy-eyed, tired, foggy brain, trying to figure out what it is that I'm going to do next. I do these things every single morning, and all of a sudden I'm having a day I can't remember what to do next. So I'll take that extra minute and say, you need to go pee. And after you pee, you're right there. You might as well brush your teeth and fix your hair. Perfect. Those 3 tasks all done in the same place. Now I'm focused. Okay. Then after that, you have your morning medicines you have to take. Go take your morning medicines and then bring yourself back to the room and start getting dressed. I love mapping that out because I've set those goals, and after I accomplish each one, it feels so good. I'm excited to start the next task that I just gave myself. And I take my medicine. I'm like, I did it. Yay. I deserve a cookie on this one. I don't eat cookies anymore, sadly, but yes, I set my goals and I reach them, little tiny ones at a time. By the time I get dressed, I'm actually pretty awake. Did you know that light helps wake you up. It triggers, there's science behind it. I don't know it, but I'm telling you, I know this to be true because I've heard it and then I put it to practice. You get out of bed, you want to be awake, start flipping on lights. That's what I do. I just let there be light, man. Let's brighten this place up. And it takes the amount of time to actually wake up and get out of that foggy brain. It shortens that by a lot. So if you're having trouble getting your day going, start flipping on lights. Don't get ready in the dark. Your body won't feel like it wants to keep going. You get them lights on, you'll feel a lot better about it. And next thing you know, I'm headed out the door, ready to go to work. And I'm thinking about the things that have to get done at work, and I start getting excited about the little goals. I don't think about my whole work day. I think about what am I going to get done when I first get there? And I already know those tasks. I got them mapped out in my head. And I'm like, I kind of can't wait to get that done. It's a game changer. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have at least given you some things to think about and maybe even put into practice. If you did like the things that I had to say, smash the like button for me. If you didn't like it, put it in a comment for me and tell me that I'm crazy. And tell your friends, share, like, subscribe.